Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. If this is the first time that you're watching my videos, I am a Western tropical astrologer and I use a whole sign house system for all my forecasts and readings. In this video, we are going to talk about this upcoming week astrology forecast. I hope that if you enjoy what I do and share on this channel, you can consider subscribe and share it with your friends. This video is going to be about March 16 to 22nd of 2026. This week is quite dynamic in some way and can feel a little all over the place in some way as well, because we do have a mixed bags of energy happening. We are in the last leg of our Mercury retrograde journey, but there are also aspects that really heighten it. So this week can be the peak of Mercury retrograde for some, especially if you are feeling it the most, if it's aspecting your chart. We'll talk about where it is in Pisces is happening, so you can take a look and see if it resonates with your chart, if it's aspecting your chart. So let's talk about it. First of all, I'm going to group the aspect that is kind of happening throughout the whole week and just group them together so it might be less confusing. It is Mercury retrograde, so I hope I am making sense here. But let's begin. So first of all, we have on March 17, Mercury retrograde is going to conjunct North Node in Pisces at 8 degrees. So this aspect happened once already, earlier back in February 11, when we were in pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde. Today it repeats because of Mercury retrograde, it goes back, and then this week also, Mercury will station direct, and this aspect will repeat in the same week. So we are feeling this energy actually the whole week. So this Mercury conjunct North Node, we will feel it in the beginning on Tuesday when it's still retrograde, but slowing down almost at a standstill because Mercury is preparing to station direct. So this whole week, Mercury is not really moving. It's hovering at this 8 degrees in Pisces. So if you have any planets or point that is aspecting 8 degrees in Pisces, you are feeling this energy the most. And it is not an easy feeling because North Node have this quality of increasing, of hunger, of wanting more. So it amplifies whatever it's there. And it's Mercury retrograde. So we will feel this Mercury retrograde times 10 being amplified this week. So there might be an influx of information all over from all different directions. So some of us can feel really bombarded and overwhelmed and even anxious with all this information flying everywhere. It can be very confusing. It can be a little bit foggy, like what is real and what is not. What is the truth? You know, there's so many versions of this information, so which version is actually the truth? So we really need to practice discernment this week when it comes to the way we consume and we receive or communicate information with each other, you know, whichever end you're at. Personally, from what I'm seeing on a collective level, I feel like this is one of the worst Mercury retrogrades that we are experiencing, because first of all, Mercury is at its fall and detriment when it's in the sign of Pisces, so it's really not comfortable. It's almost like imagine you trying to stay floating in a sea of water, but now you are wearing a weight jacket, so you are already struggling with the waves, but now you have a weight that is weighing you down, trying to stop you from surfacing. So you feel like you need to use double the strength in order to stay afloat. So this Mercury retrograde really feels like that at some level. And from this energy, we really see an big explosion when it comes to the e-files. We see a lot being exposed, a lot being revealed, and it creates, of course, a lot of emotions. And Pisces is this vast, limitless, boundless sea of water. And water talks about emotions, talks about our compassion, you know, our consciousness, our sensitivity. So I have to say this Mercury retrograde really stir up, you know, the high, the low of our human emotions. And with what is happening around the world, with wars, with genocide, with the explosion of e-files, it really bring up a lot of things, whether this is personally or on a collective level, because some of us, maybe we get triggered, you know, it triggers something that is personal in our life. And on a collective level, we are all like surprised, I guess not surprised, but just like, wow, you know, seeing all this play out, all this horrific information being revealed. We really need to practice our tools to stay grounded, to stay sane, I guess. And there's also an influx of information that makes us questions, right? Whether it is real or not, especially very recently, just as I am recording, I think it's less than a day, yesterday, where there's rumor of Netanyahu not unaliving, but end up being just some AI generate image that is being spread, that he's injured, but he's not. So many people are wondering if it's real or not, and we're not sure, but finally he revealed that he's still alive and he broke the rumor. This is really that energy that is being hyped up from this Mercury conjunct North Node that we are experiencing right now, that will be heightened this upcoming week with it's hovering on that North Node at 8 degrees. So this is really at its max. And of course, it's not just when it's exact, but when we are near that aspect, we are feeling that energy, and this rumor really proves it. Something else is that Mars is still in Pisces and is not too far away from this North Node and Mercury retrograde, meaning that this week, while the Mercury retrograde energy can be really hyped up and magnified by the North Node, there's also a Y conjunction with Mars. This can mean that words can be used as weapons, because Mars is that planet of wars. It can be verbal abuse, conflict, miscommunication. So with all this energy in the mix this week, it can really feel like Mercury retrograde to the max in some way, shape, or form. We want to be careful when we communicate with each other. We practice discernment, make sure that we check our sources, fact checked. You know, there might be an influx of information and news. We need to have our tools to help us stay grounded, to take care of our energy, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, and know that words can be used as a weapon. You might be on either end, whether maybe you misspoke or you didn't mean it this way, but you know, you said something that you can't take back or you regret later. Or you're on the other end, you know, where people might use harshful words, hurtful words to communicate with you. It's important to have grace for yourself and people around you because of that as well. So I just feel like if I can, I'm just gonna choose to be a hermit this upcoming week. But I know that we cannot live life like that. And many of us, you know, maybe we have to, like me, I have to communicate, I have to create content. How can I be mindful? That is why astrology is useful. When you know what's coming ahead, you can know how to prepare for this energy and work with it. That benefits you, that is helpful, that can help others also around you, right? So this is something that we can pay attention to. And later this week, Mercury will station direct on the 20th. Mercury will station direct at 8 degrees in the sign of Pisces. But then remember, if you watch my videos before, Mercury retrograde journey are split in 3 phases, right? We have the pre-shadow, the actual retrograde, and this week after Mercury station direct, it will have its post shadow phase, meaning that now Mercury station direct, it will slowly gain speed back to its normal speed. It's gonna take a while, a couple more weeks for Mercury to retrace all those degrees that Mercury retrograded in, right? Starting from end of February. So we need to give it some time for Mercury to regain its speed, to retrace those degree points. That is when we might feel that, okay, after this pre-shadow, this retrograde, maybe as after this week, after Mercury station direct, in the next couple of weeks until April 9th, that is when the post-shadow finally finished. That is when we actually finish and wrap up this whole Mercury retrograde journey and cycle. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, you will slowly gain clarity, solution, perspective, answers that you're seeking from your Mercury retrograde stories. So be patient. There's still a couple more weeks to go after this week. But I feel like by the end of this week, after Mercury station direct, and probably after this whole conjunction with North Node, so probably wait till next week. That is when we will feel that the fog is going to start to clear and things like that. On the 18th, we have the new moon in Pisces taking place at 28 degrees 27 minutes in the sign of Pisces, 6:23 p.m. Pacific time, or on the 19th in earlier time zone, 9:23 a.m. Hong Kong time. So just the time according to where you are in the world. This is the first lunation in the sign of Pisces that is not an eclipse since the fall of 2025. But this is not the end of this whole eclipse axis between Pisces and Virgo, because we have one final last eclipse that will take place in the sign of Pisces later this year in the summer. So not just yet. But this is also the first lunation in the sign of Pisces that Saturn and Neptune no longer co-present in the sign of Pisces, meaning from March 2023, so for the past 3 years, we have Saturn in Pisces and also Neptune in Pisces. Neptune has been in Pisces for 14 years, but for the past 3 years, its energy is being also increased with the addition of Saturn. So there's Saturn, there's Neptune, and also on top of that, for the past couple of years, we have year and a half, we have eclipses in the sign of Pisces. So that Pisces house in your natal chart has been going through some really big shakeups, right? With all these different kind of transit. Finally, comes this week, we have the first lunation in the sign of Pisces, no longer with the presence of Neptune and Saturn, and soon the nodes as well. But right now, the node is still there, but not as close, because the node is at 8 degrees in Pisces at this point. It's a little bit further from this new moon. That's why it's not an eclipse, because you have to be within the 15 degrees of the node in order to be an eclipse. So it's no longer that close. It's at 28 degrees. So this new moon in some way can feel like a pivot point from all these energy, right? But there's still one last eclipse in the sign of Pisces that we'll experience in the summer. I say that this new moon in Pisces can feel like a pivot point, a kind of turn of direction in some way, shape, or form, because the new moon is sextile Uranus and Taurus. So Uranus has been in Taurus for the past 8 years almost, since 2018. And the past couple of years, especially, we have all these planets in Pisces having this by house sextile with Uranus and Taurus. And these are also gone. And this new moon is simply just the moon and the sun sextiling Uranus and Taurus. So this sextile can in some way, shape, or form feels like a pivot, a reflection, right? After all these planets, all these transit that we've been through in this Pisces house, and so much has been changed perhaps or being revealed to you. How would you like to move on from here? What have you learned, and what can we do differently now moving forward with this awareness for the past few years, especially the past perhaps couple of years with all the planets concentrated in Pisces, right? And now that they have all left Pisces, now is kind of that reflection point with this sextile with Uranus, because Uranus is doing something differently, right? It's a revelation. It can be a realization. It can be a point of pivot, breakthrough, or change. So maybe perhaps this new moon is also a time to reflect on your Pisces house journey, right? The themes, the topics, areas of your life that Pisces house rules. How would you like to move forward now with this sextile, right? What can you do differently perhaps now that maybe your perspective have changed and so on and so forth? This can happen on a personal level and on a collective level, because Uranus is an outer planet. You know, it has been in Taurus since 2018. Taurus talks about the money market, world financial market. It talks about the resources on this earth. It talks about the climate, the agriculture, our relationship with the Mother Earth, with the land, with resources. In the past few years, we definitely have seen how all these topics really shape and change on a collective level, how much technology create changes, but also how much has been reviewed, you know, the pros and cons, that all these things reveal to us, and it really awakened a lot of us in some way, shape, or form. How should we look at technology? How should we treat our relationship with the resources that we have on this earth, and how should we maintain and nurture this relationship we have with the land? How should we embody it, right? Taurus relates to our sensual embodiment on this physical world. You know, how are we taking care of ourselves as above, so below? The way we take care and give back to the land is how it's giving to us as well. How do we maintain and nurture this relationship? I feel like a lot has been revealed to us the past few years as well. And I think more and more of us are paying more attention to this relationship as well, especially with what is happening with the world. This sextile between all the planets in Pisces, especially the past couple of years, now that all these planets is shifting, and Uranus too soon will enter Gemini. After all has been revealed to us the past couple of years, how do we see ourselves moving on from here, right? What can we do to perhaps change or create a world that is less harmful to the land or harmful to our body, right? And the ruler of this new moon is Jupiter. Jupiter rules Pisces. Jupiter right now is in the sign of Cancer. And during this new moon, Jupiter in Cancer is having a square with Venus in Aries. Square, even though often means a more harsh and tense energy, this is a square between two benefics, Jupiter and Venus. So to some extent, it's quite helpful too, but of course in a different point of view, because while this can give us a little boost in confidence, in energy, in all the Venusian things, you know, because it's a square between Venus and Jupiter. So Jupiter kind of magnified all these Venusian topics, which can be a positive boost when it comes to relationships, right? When it comes to justice, values, self-worth, all these Venusian topics. This is also, Jupiter in Cancer is also about how we care for each other. How do we take care of ourselves on a collective level? And how do we protect what we care for, right? Venus in Aries is often seen as an activist energy too, right? Because Aries is the energy of the self, and Venus is a peaceful warrior, right? So a warrior of justice. When they combine together, it's about fighting for what you believe that is right, that is true, that is fair. Squaring this Jupiter Cancer, this can be, what are you willing to go to war, to fight for, to pursue all these Venusian topics? Or how far would you go to protect to go after what you want to protect, right? That Jupiter in Cancer, this energy. So we might see some themes on a collective level being played out. Unfortunately, this can be an escalation of some country willing to go to war in order to protect its country, its border, right? Because Cancer is our home, right? On a personal level, that's how this energy can play out as well. There can be a tendency of seeing that overly protective energy being played out on a personal level, right? Maybe someone is being overprotective towards its boundary, which can be a good thing if you are someone that blurs the boundary, right? That tends to have no boundaries. This is a great time to fight for and set a boundary with some of the relationship that might take advantage of that. So that is how it can also play out on a personal level. Something I want to talk about is the Sabian symbol of 28 degrees in the sign of Pisces. So the Sabian symbol of 28 degrees in Pisces is a fertile garden under the full moon. It is about knowing that there is more than enough abundance for everyone, that there's no need to fight, to compete for it. The idea that some people create this illusion of scarcity is because they want more than enough, right? When their want exceed their desire, and they wanted more for themselves instead of having enough, being content with enough, right? And this is being also reflected on a collective level, right? That we are seeing. I agree with. Like, we actually do have more than enough resources to provide for everyone, and yet we have places around this world that is suffering from scarcity, from the lack of resources. Why is that? Is it really that case, or is it only because some countries, some group of population create this scarcity mindset that that enable us to have this feeling of not having enough, constantly needing to have more than enough? Often we can see that the more successful, the richer the people are, they often feel less happy. They often feel lonelier. They often feel less joy in life because they already have so much. Nothing can bring them happiness or a sense of content or joy anymore, because it's happening every day. Whereas people that are considered less fortunate, that have less, they find joy in simple things, right? Because abundance doesn't come by easily, because they have to compete for it, because it's not happening on a daily basis. So that sets the bar differently between these people, right? A person that sense the fulfillment in life and the people that doesn't. And it's because the people that see the beauty, see the joy in simple things is the ones that truly affirms abundance, whereas the other only competes against scarcity. And this Sabian symbol at 28 degrees in Pisces is reminding us that this is an illusion that maybe small group of people create in order for us to fight with each other, versus to understand that there's actually more than enough for everyone if we can just let go of that competition, that fear of lack, right? And I find it very interesting because it also really resonates with the tarot card, because this new moon is happening at 28 degrees in the sign of Pisces, which is the third degree, the third decan of Pisces, and represented by this 10 of Cups card in the tarot. And this 10 of Cups really kind of echoing that Sabian symbol in some way of because you can see here we have this family, right? Maybe the parents, the adults, and then we have the children. They are really, really happy. You know, they're jumping for joy because they know that everything they seek, desire, they want is here, that they are content, right? Even though these cups, they are still up there in the sky, they are not down on this physical plane yet. It's that knowingness, right? It's that knowingness that is already there, that is all provided, right? Trusting that is already here. This is what creates that sense of joy, that desire of contentment, is affirming the abundance, just like that Sabian symbol. So I feel like to some extent, this new moon is also echoing this feeling, is that yes, a lot is happening around the world right now. It can feel very hopeless. It can feel very frustrating. It can feel like everything is falling apart. But this is also that Pisces symbol, right? That two fishes swimming in opposite direction. This agony and ecstasy, knowing that yes, there are a lot of suffering, there are a lot of unfortunate things happening around the world right now, but it is also the time to not give up on hope, knowing that yes, the world might seems like it's falling apart, but this is also a chance for us to see, to break away from things that is not serving us, right? To let the system collapse, to fight against those the end of the collapse of capitalism, the late stage capitalist stage that we are in right now, and know that if we continue to affirm abundance, that we can bring it down into the reality and create a world that is safer, that is kinder, that is more loving, more fair for all beings in some way, shape, or form as well. So I hope I'm not just babbling. I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to create, but communicate. But this is my rant, but simply saying that I hope this new moon provide us a chance to reflect, to not bypass what is happening, but also to balance with that optimism, that hope that we can hold on for a better future for all as well. So this Pisces, to affirm that Pisces symbol, where one end it feels like the end of the world, but the other end is also the beginning of a better world that can be more loving, kind, fair for all beings. So I hope I communicate, I have that point across. I'm not going to edit this part because this is just really explaining how I am also feeling this Mercury retrograde in Pisces energy with you all. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna edit this part out, but I hope this rant also brings some clarity as to what this new moon can mean for all of us in some ways. And what a lunation to end this astrological years, because 2 days later, March 20th, the sun is going to enter Aries and kickstart Aries season. Also, the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere and the fall equinox in the southern hemisphere. So in the astrology community, this is truly a new year for us. Because Aries is the first sign of this zodiacal wheel, we are kickstarting a new astrological year. So happy new year. This is a great day to do some spring cleaning, to clean out that stagnant energy that is being built up for the past year, right? To clear the energy to welcome the new year. This is a day where we have balance, daylight and darkness. Also a great time to remind us to reflect on our year, right? What seems to be out of balance? What can we do in this new coming year to bring the scale a little bit closer in a more balanced, harmonious state as well, to allow ourselves to have some time to reflect on how we want to move forward as we start this new astrological year as well. On the same day of this new season, new astrological year, we also have Mercury stationing direct at 8 degrees 29 minutes in the sign of Pisces today. But like I said, this is a station, so Mercury is still at a standstill, and because of that conjunction with North Node that I just explained earlier in this video, we are feeling this energy the whole week, because Mercury, after its station direct, it is going to conjunct that North Node in Pisces again on the 22nd, so 2 days later. That's why I said this whole week we have this Mercury conjuncting North Node in the background, you know, retrograding and indirect. So that is this energy being magnified. But we do have a post shadow of Mercury retrograde, and it will end on April 9th. So from now onwards, I would say, like I said before, next week, I feel like the energy will loosen up a little bit more. That is when we will start to see the energy start to clear up. The fog might feel kind of more lifted, and we feel a little bit more at ease in the next couple of weeks. On 21st, we have Mars in Pisces, trine Jupiter in Cancer at 15 degrees. This can be a supportive energy. This can be a motivation, a boost in action taking, because Mars is being trined with Jupiter, magnifying that energy. This can be giving you a boost to take action towards your creative pursuits, spiritual pursuits, right? Because we're talking about Pisces, we're talking about Cancer, both water signs. This can be emotionally driven, right? You want to take action towards something that you're passionate about, right? That you want to really create, nurture, and start it, right? With all this energy in Cancer and Pisces, this can be a learning something new, pursuing a spiritual modality, a creative pursuit, a creative project idea, giving birth to a new idea or project. This can also be taking care of or taking action to help out less fortunate group, to help the more vulnerable communities in the society, because like I said, both planets are in water sign. Pisces is very compassionate, and Cancer want to nurture and protect. So we can tend to have that energy that we want to take care of someone, we want to protect someone today. This might happen on a personal level or a collective level. You might want to go and fight the good fight and go to a protest for a good cause that you want to support, right? But of course, this can also manifest in overly protective and empathize someone that you want to be mindful of, because that might blurs your boundary as well. So this is a little bit of reminder to pay attention to as well. So We have a lot of energy happening. Lastly, I also want to mention, I did talk about how that Mercury conjuncting North Node whole week in the backdrop, and on the 22nd, the Sun is going to conjunct Neptune in Pisces at 1 degree. So this is the first time that this is making this conjunction, because Neptune has just recently re-entered Aries. So this can add an extra dose of fogginess and confusion on top of that Mercury retrograde energy that is being amplified. So I really want us to practice discernment and try to be less reactive this week, because especially on 22nd, with the addition of this Sun-Neptune conjunction, this can be an excess of information, right? Creating uncertainty or lack of clarity. So you want to proceed with cautious, right? Maybe don't take things by face value, right? And fact check everything. And maybe just be a hermit this week, right? Just be a hermit. So you know you won't be like confused, or less confused in some way, shape or form. I know this sounds like very doom and gloom in some way. This is not to fearmonger, but is to be aware of the energy so that we can know how to work with it and what to pay attention to. So I hope you find this helpful. Feel free to comment below. Let me know how you find it. If you want a more personal consultation, I do offer all kinds of astrology consultation. Just contact me. My information are in the description box. Follow me over on IG. And have a great week. I'm sending you lots of new moon blessing. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye.